note taker. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I created some DBT projects, and it was my first project that I built like completely with AI tools from scratch, which was cool.
Do you share the screen?
Not yet.
Oh,
I will share.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and one of the things that I wanted to try was like creating presentations, right? Because I don't want to create presentation by myself because it's too like it takes a lot of time, right? So I found like I checked what are the most popular solutions on the market right now, and I found two options. So the first one is called Notebook LM. It's not purely to create presentations, but it's more like I think for studying and for understanding things. So it's from Google, right? So Google built this like this thing, right? So basically you create notebook and you can add different sources, right? So for example, if you are researching on one topic about, okay, I want to research something about DBT, right? And you can find some YouTube videos. I don't know. For example, we are researching like DBT, like clone, right? Command, right? DBT clone. Do we have it? Okay, DBT clone command. So in general, I can take this link and add it here, right? Insert. Now I can find documentation here, DBT clone docs. So I can find a lot of things, and it adds here, right? So and this notebook analyzes the sources, and I create based on this source. I can ask questions, and based on the sources, Google will give me some answers. And also I can create like audio overview or mind map or a quiz and flashcard based on this. So for example, I can create quiz card and I can practice some questions from it. So it helps just to analyze things, right? But for my project, I just, when I built the whole project, I asked Claude or like ChatGPT to create something like description and slides for me, right? So and Claude and ChatGPT generated, where is it? Presentation notes, yeah, something like this. So I have slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. So this all was like generated by AI, and then I just copy pasted it in this notebook and created presentation. So this is not this. Yeah, I don't see. Where are my results? Okay, I have results somewhere. Another. Yeah, and this what like Google generated. So yeah, about DBT and all this like pictures it was generated. So it like looks really cool, right? Yeah, differences between DBT core, DBT cloud, even some like complex diagrams, architectures. Yeah, this is Medallion architecture, right? Staging intermediate marts that we know. So it's really cool. So the only like the big drawback is we can't like modify the slides inside this thing. So if I create slides, I can't modify the context. I can just download it as PDF and do something with it. Yeah. So this is how it looks like. So it's another presentation. Yeah, that I generated, but I can't do anything. I can just download it in PDF and maybe do some modifications in PDF, and that's it. But still cool. Another thing that I used, and the presentation that I will present you right now is from this service. It's called Gamma AI, and this tool is purely for creating presentations. So I create new presentation. I paste text here, right? So for example, let's put some slides, maybe not too much, maybe okay. First 3 slides I can put here. I put here information about each slide that I generated, and I can just put these dividers, so Gamma will understand that these are different slides. I can size of the slides, okay, let it be like traditional, but it's not only presentation, it could be like document or web page and some other stuff. And what do you want to do with this content that I pasted? Maybe summarize it and long text document. Okay, continue. Yeah, and now I can choose some settings of my presentation, of my future presentation. Okay, let it, and I think I don't need this. Let it be like concise text in English. I can choose style. I don't know, Mercury, let it be. I can, yeah, so it can generate automatically images, or it can take from web. Okay, let it be. And I can put some notes about the presentation, but okay. The bad thing is that it's like a free version is quite limited, so I can create only 10 cards or like 10 slides max at a time. And because I already generated quite a lot of presentations, I have like a few credits. So after creating this presentation, probably I won't have any credits, so I'll need to pay for this. Right, and then it generates my presentation. And it's, yeah, and we can see how it's generated. Yeah, cool. Okay. So, and the best thing is that I can modify it. So I can modify it. I can even tell like, yeah, I don't know, about DBT, make like point by point comparison in one table. And it will edit this. So it's cool, yeah. So now it's one table, right? And it's not maybe as cool as Google, like visually, but still it's really nice. And I can export it. So I actually export it in PDF and it's good, but when I export it to the Google Slides, I think it doesn't look like. So the transformation export to Google Slide, it's not the best, and it's, yeah, maybe in future they will fix it. Okay, so this is how I have prepared for this webinar that we are having today. Okay, so let's actually like let's start. So basically, I prepared a project, a DBT core project, and prepared like a presentation about it. I haven't completed installed everything, so maybe we will install it at this webinar.
Will you record?
I think we already recording it. Yes.
Okay. And the step number one, probably we need to open VS Code and create new folder, or you have any kind of starter?
No, actually, I don't have it. Yeah, I haven't prepared like installation guide, and I think it will be like more today. It will be like more like an overview rather than like workshop.
Okay, but if someone decide to repeat, probably what they need to do, they need to create the new folder and maybe install DBT with virtual environment on just on the machine and do DBT init project and then set up the connection. And we have all this kind of in Surfalytics materials.
Yeah, I think you have. Yeah. So first of all, I can add this my GitHub repo where I have this project to like Surfalytics, and I believe we have a Surfalytics setup guide, right? That you created some time ago. Yeah, but basically what you need and what I did, yeah. So right now this project is with like on GCP with BigQuery. You can use any other data warehouse you want, but yeah. So basically, how I created it. So I just created a folder, and I created a yeah, like a Python environment, virtual environment, where like because I want to install on dependency inside this environment. So when I log in or like activate this environment, I have all my dependency there, and I have like everything there, right? Even I can put some, I believe some like environmental variables here. So when I activate it,
I didn't know about this because I always like, environment is activated, but it doesn't have my variables. And then I didn't know about this, using this all the time. It's great.
Yeah, so I actually I learned about it like quite recently because yeah, I started to work on a project, and every time you log into your environment, you need to specify it like this, or you need to add something like this to your Z shell, right, config. And yeah, but actually you can just add at the end of the activate file of your environment these commands, and when you just activate this environment, they automatically like run, and you automatically have everything like this, right? So yeah, let's talk about environmental variables. So environmental variables I use in my project for like the profiles file, right? So when I installed my dbt core project, we have a profiles YAML file that allows us to connect to our data warehouse. And it allows us to specify like 2 different environments, or like whenever like number environments we want, right? So I have development environment where I test my models and test my changes. And I have a prod environment. It's a final environment that will be used by, I don't know, business, or where we'll have like the final models deployed. And for example, for some of the things here, I use environmental variables. For instance, for dataset, I use environmental dbt dev schema. So how it works? So each developer can install this project locally and work with it, right? And each developer can define its own dbt dev schema. For instance, I have something like, let's check. Yeah, so I put my like the first letter of my name and my last name here. And when I use dev environment, the data set, it's called dev and voluminets. So each developer could have it, and they can define it in here. Yeah. So, and of course, it's used for protection, for security reason, because if I want to add this file to my repo, I need to avoid any like things that expose my project. So like some bad guys won't be able to store the data and like, I don't know, spend credits in my Google GCP account, right?
What is priority?
Priority? What do you mean priority?
Always like keyword.
I have no idea. Yeah.
I assume it's something from BigQuery authentication.
Let's check it. Let's check it.
Yeah, now we can check.
So in terms of AI that I use, I have here extension of ChatGPT that I can just, yeah, job priority, interactive, on demand. Yeah, so interactive, it's just the job. So when we run, I believe dbt command, it like starts run or like right away, right? And batch is like viewed, if you know, yeah. So it just defines the job priority. So when we run dbt command and execute models, so it's just, I think by default it's interactive, I think, right? So I think it's not mandatory to have it here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's start from the beginning, from my beautiful presentation. Okay. Yeah, so we'll talk about some different topics. I think I will just cover some basic things at the beginning, but I won't focus on it too much because, yeah, I want to talk more about some more interesting stuff, right? Okay, so what do we know about dbt? So dbt is a tool that is used for data transformations inside the data warehouse, and it's, I think, the most popular tool right now. It was recently merged with a company called Fivetran. Fivetran's the most popular ETL tool. So now it's one big company, and it's yeah, the most popular tool for data transformation, at least in North America, maybe in the whole world, right? So it's very crucial skill to know and to understand how it works. Why it's so popular? Because I think it's quite easy to use and it's easy to follow things. So basically all the transformations are like in SQL plus Ginger. So in Ginger, it's just a template language that helps like enhance our models and create like dependencies between models and so on. Also, it brings a cool thing about dbt that it brings some software developer practices to data world, right? So like version control, we use GitHub to for our project code, and we can work with other developers and create different versions and then like test it with some built-in tests or with some custom tests, or like, so dbt allows us to create and use different tests to test our data, schema, and so on. And of course, we have documentation, so we can create documents, descriptions, and lineage, so we can see the dependencies of the models quite easily. Right, so there are two main versions, like two versions of dbt. Core is a free one, it's open source, and dbt Cloud, it's paid version. And so the main things that are different are that dbt Core is free, and dbt Cloud you need to pay money for this. And I believe that the main difference is dbt Cloud has built-in scheduler, right? So you can create jobs inside the dbt Cloud UI, and it will run it, for example, on a daily basis. You can create quite easily CI/CD there, and so it helps to run the whole project on a daily basis. dbt Core doesn't have this capability, so you need to use something else, or like another tool to run this project. And dbt Core is a little bit more complex to set up initially. dbt Cloud does a lot of things for you, and it has maybe nice UI and stuff, but from the other hand, dbt Core has more like flexibility for your company, so you can modify it whenever you want and so on. And for the future considerations, so dbt I think is focused more on developing its own solution, dbt Cloud, rather than contributing to dbt Core. Right, so we'll see how it changed over time, but dbt Core is still a really cool feature to use if you want to try it for free, right? And a lot of companies, they still use dbt Core because like dbt Cloud is becoming more and more expensive, and after the merger, I assume they will like raise the prices even more. Okay, so yeah, I use BigQuery for this project, TBT Core and Analytics. So I use BigQuery mostly because I work with GCP and with BigQuery, and also because for the next webinar, I wanted to create a data form project. It's a Google data transformation tool that it's not super popular, but still it will be interesting for me to check. And next time when I showcase the data form project, we will compare like today's DBT core and data form capabilities, right? Okay, so how I started. Let me open the project. So you can create, if you want to try it after the webinar, there is like a free tier of GCP, so you can log in and register and get some resources for free. Google has one of the best free tiers on the market, so it gives you some, like, I don't know, maybe 1 terabyte of storage or something like that, and some credits, which is cool. So how I did the project, I installed, so I have seeds files. It's just raw CSV, Jeffel shop, some sample data, and I loaded these raw files to raw Jeffel shop schema, right, or data set. And then I used this schema or data set as a source to my models, right, like def and Volunets, and here my models, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will check it. Okay. Yeah, also I use GitHub to store my code and GitHub Actions for CI/CD. We will cover it later. And I also want to check and to talk about some observability tool called Elementary and Recce. It's like data thief tool. We will talk a bit about it later. So for the project, I used standard thing, like how to structure it. It's called Medallion architecture. Medallion architecture is just consists of 3 layers, or I think it could be like even more, but there are 3 main layers: bronze, silver, or gold, or in my case, I call it staging layer, intermediate, and marts. So staging layer just contains all the tables that are like one-to-one to raw Jeffel shop tables that I just showed you. I haven't made any complex transformations there, just renaming, changing the data type, and that's it. So staging layer is just to bring the models to the project, and maybe some small transformation, like the time step when this data was loaded, right? Or renaming, and that's it. So you don't need to, and you don't supposed to make any transformations here. Okay, for intermediate layer, it's like this is the layer where you do a lot of transformations, where you join, where you aggregate, and filter. So these models are like used for centralized like business logic. And let's check it out. Intermediate, okay, for customers. Yeah. So I think this is, yes, okay. For example, I bring here like orders joined. Yeah. So for orders joined, for example, I use 3 tables here. So order items, products, and orders. And then I joined it and got 1 table to combine all the things. So for orders, like order item, SKU, product name, types, price, and some customers. So it's just like 1 big table that I will use on later, right? And the final layer, it's marts layer. So final layer, the important layer, because usually on marts layer, there are like final models that business or like data analyst will use at the end. So it's very important to think about like this layer, what models do you need there, because like, yeah, business will use it, and the data should be should have like really good quality and so on. Right, so by defining why it's so popular, because it's quite simple approach, and further, when you are creating new things, it's quite easy to find data, right? So you know what is on the staging layer, you know what is on intermediate and marts, and it's easy to follow and easy to import new members of your team. Okay, so let's talk about tests. So there are several types of tests that we have in our project. So of course, there are some built-in tests. There are actually 4 types of built-in tests that you can easily create, right? So all our transformations, there are in SQL models like this. Yeah, as I talked to you about, the transformations are in SQL, and this is like part of Ginger code that is just reference source model, and it helps to DBT, so we use it. So the DBT will understand that this transformation is based on this table, and that's how the DBT sees the dependency. Yeah, and for every model, I created YAML file. So YAML file, it's a config file where we defining some descriptions, we're defining some tests, and we can do even more with this. So it's just config file that we use to add like settings of our model. So there are 4 main built-in tests, just unique, not null. So it checks this. For example, we have a customer ID table, and it should be like unique, and there should be like nulls. If it's not unique, or if it's not null, if there are nulls, we will get an error when we run it, right? When we run our project. It's crucial to use this, especially at the staging layer, just to be confident that we bring the good quality to our DBT, right? Okay, so the next type of test is custom tests, and singular tests as well. So as I said, there are just 4 tests that are built into DBT, and in most cases it's not enough. So first of all, you can create your own tests. For example, here's the generic tests. It looks quite big, but actually it just it checks if there are like, if we have 2 columns, it tests and validates the 2 columns. If we summarize 2 columns, it will be equal like to the 3rd column, right? And it's defined in such in such code, in the Ginger code, and you can check on the internet how it works. So we define some columns. So basically, it's like functions in all database, and then we can use this test in our models. For example, I think STG orders. Yeah. So data test, I use this test column column here. So it takes subtotal, it takes column number to text page, and it compares, it should be equal to order total. So it takes subtotal plus text page and checks if it's equal or not to order total. And we put some tolerance level, so the difference could be like only 1%. If there be the difference between this sum and this more than 1%, we get an error. So something like this, and you can create this generic test. Also, I think there is like so there is a singular test. So generic tests, it's basically a function that you can define here. You have arguments, and you define these arguments in any model you want. So this test can be implemented to any model you want. And this test it's called singular because it can be, it's written for the specific models or specific use case. So you can't use this in any model you want, because you are specifying here like specific models that you are checking. And so, for example, here we created a singular test that validates that no order occurred before their associated store opened. So there, if it's store not opened, there should be no orders before the date of opening, right? So it takes these two orders and stage stores and checks if it's true or not. And if it's not true, we get an error, right? So what's next? Package power test. So about packages, we'll talk a little bit later. I think the last test that I want to show you, it's relatively new one. Like it's not new one in terms of like its meaning, but it's quite new to DBT. I think they added this type of test like maybe 1 year ago. It's called unit tests. And let's check how it works. So how unit test works? For example, we have a model, right? And we see here that it has a lot of aggregations, joins, and quite complex logic, right? And let's imagine that we want to refactor it. And we take this model, we make some changes, and we want to check if we get, so we improve this model, for example, and we want to check if it produces the same results or not, right? Why like standard test can't do it? So the standard test, like, I don't know, not null or unique, they just like test if specific column is unique or not, like this column, customer ID. Okay, it's also important, but we want to see if the whole like transformation logic is the same, right? So for example, customer ID, there could be like, at the initial model, there could be like 10 different customer IDs, but when we made transformations, there could be like less or more, but they will be still unique. So we won't get like a error for this test. So what a unit test does, so it contains of two main things. It contains of the input and output, right? So we are defining, okay, we're just saying, okay, take this input as a data, right, as your data, and transform it using your logic. And it should, as the output, it should completely match with this output that we're defining. So we are defining input that we like feed to the model, and we're defining the expected output. If we don't get this output, we will get an error. So it's very useful when we are doing, for example, refactoring of some complex logic. So it's just easy to check from the old one the input and provide the output. So it checks like this. So it still runs BigQuery warehouse. Like it creates some temporary table and checks it there. Also, I defined it in this format, or like Claude defined it in this format, but it's also possible to define it in CSV. So we can put a CSV file as an input and another CSV file as an output, and it will like compare the results. Okay, so what's next? Oh yeah, okay. So this is like a cool thing, a cool macro that I just learned about recently, right? So I was working on the one project, and like a client asked if we can remove any tables from the data set automatically if they not used in our schema. And I found this macro that actually does it, right? So once again, about the case. Let's say that we have our project, right? We have staging models and so on. And let's imagine then that I have one new table. Customers, I don't know, new table. I won't make any changes, just I created this new table and I will like run the whole project. So I run it with some dbt commands like dbt build. It will run and test the whole project. Okay. I need to go to project folder. Okay, let's wait while everything will be done.
Does it actually builds, meaning that physically implements those objects, right?
Yes. So when we run dbt build, it builds everything and tests every model as well. So we will see this new table in our BigQuery dataset. Yeah, we have some warnings, but I think nothing too dangerous. So let's check. Yeah, let's find where it's built. I don't see it in my projects. Let's check the profiles file. Depth schema. Intermediate. So I think, yeah. Yes, so it's built in every, okay. So right now my project is configured in this way that every like, yes. So every layer is configured for its own data set. And I see all it here. And I see this new table, STG customers, here as my new table. Okay. And because I think it's, yeah, it's defined here. So when we have like dbt project YAML file where we have some settings for our whole project, and we can define here in what schemas it will be saved. And right
I think
now
it's also important because in dbt you have this I think custom schema,
yes.
and then you need to have the macro. And for example, I try to use it because in this case, for every schema will match the folder. For example, I have folder bronze, the schema will be bronze, but also it will concatenate the next level folder. For example, if I have folder bronze and then, you have folder staging, and can you expand the staging? And then, you don't have anything, but assuming you have staging and then you have Salesforce. Yeah, and the schema will basically intermediate _ customers, but then you're running in dev, it will be intermediate underscore customers, but also will add the prefix with your name. For example, in dbt profile, I can define dev underscore Dmitry, and then it will be dev underscore Dmitry underscore intermediate. And then you have many developers. This is extremely powerful because now everyone has their dedicated space where they do the work. So this is very important to have. It's kind of like not popular to highlight everywhere, but it's so simplify how you set up the project.
So could you explain once again? So each developer has its own schema.
Can you open the dbt profile file?
Yes. Yeah, do you see it?
Yes. So you have schema. Where is your schema? Yeah, dbt dev schema. So this is your schema.
Yes.
What is your schema name?
Yeah, and volunteers. Dev and volunteers, like this one.
Yeah. So then you running your model. What schema it is in BigQuery?
Yeah. So when I run it in BigQuery, it's dev and volunteers, but because I specified in dbt project like other schemas for each layer, they are saved to their own
Yes,
schema.
but idea, if you're using, can you open just Notepad or like new file, and we can just type what expected things should be, and then we can see what is actually have. Just
What this file should be like?
just txt file. We just type. Yeah. Okay. Let's write, for example, dev, and then from the new. No, just like the dev example, right? And then from the new line, you can say what it will be database dot your database obviously dot dev prefix
like this.
Yeah, dot we just like what's a template would be under you can put sign plus
like this.
Folder name plus like nested folder name, or like no, I mean it's plus, like sign plus. I mean this is just
Really?
just and here also plus. Yes, and now that's it. And dot table name. No plus. And now you can fill with your example. You go next line, like for any tables you have. You can type, for example, intermediate, right? So what's the database name you specify?
I think right now it's intermediate.
No, intermediate is a schema, not the database. Like in BigQuery, what's the database where you creating schemas and tables? Because it's always database schema table, no matter what kind of data warehouse you have.
I think it's like this. The project. This one. Then I have so this is one. This is the project name.
Dot. Then you have your dev prefix. No, first your dev prefix.
Like okay.
Dot.
Dev. Yes, like this.
Underscore folder name. For example, intermediate.
Okay.
Underscore and like customers, for example.
But it will be like schema. Oh, customers. I got it.
A dot table name.
So then if you have like
but
it will go everything like concatenated with underscores.
Yes, inside like it will basically it's only control the schema.
Makes sense.
So let's do the prot now. Specify the table. Like it doesn't matter what table you have. Like and it's good to have alias for the table. Nikita, I think very good to have distinction between file name and table name. This is what all my colleagues who are not using DBT a lot, they always confusing file name and schema name. Or not file name and table name. Because the file name, it's your model name.
Yes.
And the model name you specify in the YAML file.
Yes.
But the table name, it's the how your table called inside BigQuery. For example, right now, if you open your model in customer cohorts, your model name and your table name the same. Open the SQL file. Yeah, but ideally, what's good, because I know it is maybe fine, like in customers cohorts, but maybe if you define schema is intermediate, then you don't need to call table in customers cohort. You can call just customer cohorts. And if you won't do this, you need to specify the alias inside DBT model. So at least what I'm doing, every model has the alias, and on top I can just adding the alias like table, for example, customer cohorts. That's it. And this will be my table name. But in this particular case, your model name and table name matches.
It's the same, yes.
But it's you know, sometimes you have so many models that their model names make sense for DBT, but doesn't make sense inside big database tables. That's why aliases help to control it. But anyway, in our case, it will be in customer cohorts in our explanation file.
Yeah.
Can you go explanation file and just, yeah. Okay, now let's do example for the prod. From the next slide. Yeah, just from the new line. No, I mean, we finished with the text file. Yeah, just, yeah, type prod. And yeah, and then it is database, folder name, yeah, you can copy paste basically line 2, but just delete the def prefix from it. Yeah, line 2 and 3 you can copy, but just delete
it will be like, I have analytics here. Should I put analytics? No.
No, I just explained how it might work, but how in your case works is another solution. So here you have intermediate customer, and this is how technically it might work with the custom schema. The benefit of this.
No, the question is like, yeah, just one question. So the schema will be intermediate and customers?
No, intermediate underscore customers.
Yes. So here it's like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and it means your prod will be all for all. Then you merge your tables will be built inside intermediate customers. But in dev, everyone will have the schema name defined by developer prefix. And all the schema names, for example, intermediate customers, where it's coming from, it is coming from DBT project YAML file. So if you open DBT project YAML file, this is where you define your schemas. So you see the schemas, but Nikita, for example, define a different schema. So it means in his particular case, he will have like staging, intermediate. But yeah, I think this is what we have. Yeah. And
here we have customers and products. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically what's happening, it's concatenated those values. So it will concatenate schema that you define here and the folder name, something like this. But you need to kind of like to test to see. But
you are defining it in this macro?
Yes, I will. Let me share example of macro that I am using, the most recent. I will just drop it into Discord. I will create thread under your Google Meet, like exactly macros I have, and then DBT project I have. Yeah, just 1 second.
Quick question. So if I want to read about this more, how to Google, like, what are we actually discussing right now? Like,
custom schema. If they have dedicated page with custom schema, but the challenge is this one page for custom schema doesn't tell you basically this what I'm telling. So to understand this, you need to kind of like trying to modify and run it to see what it's doing.
Yeah.
So this is telling you that, yeah, you can, what we're doing, we define the custom schema, because otherwise your schema might be like all the same for developers. Every developer will be like traditional issue with dbt dev that all developers writing into dev schema. So, and that's the problem. Like imagine you have 5 developers, they all will write into the same schema, overwrite each model because and the custom schema allows you to like adding extra schema variable name as a developer name, because this is really good, works for dev environment, but also now it's so convenient for people who not very technical, because now they know, their folder name, the parent folder name, for example, if I'm using bronze, silver, gold, and their nested folder like business domain, for example, sales, they can quickly find the right schema inside data warehouse, because they know, this is gold and this is sales. It means my schema got underscore sales.
If we want to clean it up, so as I understand, once we build the project, it will materialize all the tables according to the configuration, and then once it goes to prod, does it automatically clean it up, or it requires manual cleanup of those dev schemas?
No, dev schemas, they sits in own schemas. So because the prod schema will be different, you don't need to clean dev. It's too dedicated. So basically, you build table in dev schema, you build table in prod schema. They kind of like different area of your database, so they not intersect in any way.
Yeah, I'll explain quickly why. I don't want to deviate too much, but for example, in Databricks, when we work with the asset bundles, it allows you to build your jobs with actually dev prefix. And actually, there is a way to configure these schemas, not straightforward, but not a problem. The cool thing with these bundles is that it's Terraform based, and then when you finished your work in dev environment, you can run the Databricks destroy, and it will destroy your dev. Basically, because when you work in it, creates your schema, Databricks job. So, but it creates like each developer's version, but then you can end up with so much many objects, and then you want to clean it out because it becomes messy.
Yeah, here in dbt, it's not doing this. And exactly, you will get this problem with many schemas. That's why sometimes people can set up job to do this. For example, you can set up even CI job like in GitHub that will run the make command and dropping all dev schemas once a week. Because the problem is not the number of schemas, but the storage. Imagine if everyone rebuilding their copy of, like I have very recent examples. Data team, like 12 people, everyone has the copy of data warehouse in BigQuery, 3 terabytes. Exactly for this reason. And if you not set up with your orchestration tool or any other way to clean the dev, it means it will be there forever, and you're gonna pay for it. Yeah. Okay, I shared my dbt project, and now I will share my macro that I'm using. It's slightly bigger for me.
Yeah, I just copied your
dbt. Yeah, and then macro, you can see my macro is bigger. And this is what my macro is doing in the example I shared. So yeah, I think it just, if you just adding this macro, it won't work by default. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm
Oh, okay. So yeah, this is a bit bigger macro, but this macro is doing what I explained. And I think I create this macro with EI. I trying to explain what I want to have. And what example they covered in explanation txt, to concatenate all things. This is what doing. And if you check my dbt project file, then it's very simple. So I have, my project solo dbt, and then I have bronze, silver, gold, and inside I have subfolders, like
Yeah.
for example, plate, and for every folder has their own schema.
Okay.
And actually, yes, it's not concatenate bronze. I was wrong. It's not concatenate bronze and plate, the schema bronze plate. So the macro only concatenate def name and creating separate schema. But here you see I have schema name that consists from layer and the folder.
Yeah,
So
bronze.
I manually added this. So in your case, if you will add, I don't know, intermediate underscore and then folder name.
It would be nice to poke around with this and try to understand how it works better.
Yeah, that's if you're using dbt or while you're doing dbt, you can definitely try this because this macro, it's like default dbt macro, and I think every time it runs, it's executing this, doing this logic. Because for me, I don't really fully understand like what's happening if I don't specify this. Because yeah, I can check the code, but I don't really can explain it.
Nice. Yeah, I got it. So you're specifying in your like yeah. So once again, if you want to create like more detailed, so the main reason is just yeah. Once again, so the main reason to do this like this approach is to have more like detailed schemas in your
Yes,
in my
because
dev environment, and it will be easy to navigate. So
yeah,
this is
because by default, what you will have, for example, you define your schema like intermediate.
Yeah, so
And
right
all
now everything
and
like
you have
yes.
you have 50 models in intermediate, even if they sit in their subfolders like customers, whatever, they all will be in schema intermediate. So
Yes, like
searching,
this.
searching, you know, if you have 100 tables in intermediate schema, search is complicated. But
Yeah.
what I'm doing, I'm a kind split. I do creating intermediate underscore customers, intermediate underscore orders, and then it's basically like organizing tables by this domain. And then I think that schemas will replicate the folders inside dbt. So people who developing in dbt or even just who using data warehouse, they can always look inside dbt docs and they can see how I organize models there, and they will expect that tables will be organized in the same way in data warehouse.
Got it. And yeah, so the question is, but do you have one developer data set and one production data set, or you have like one data set?
One production and many developers. Because
yeah, I mean, so
now
the data set, so this you have for each developer one data set, or no?
Yeah, what will happen? You see, you have schema dev and volinets.
Yes, we have it.
And it has all the tables.
Yes. Yeah, everything. Yeah.
But what will happen with my approach? You will have dev and volinets underscore customers. No, dev volinets underscore intermediate customers, dev volinets underscore intermediate orders, and so on and so on. And for every developer, you will have the schemas. So
but it will be like still in one data set for every developer.
Yeah. And I think here what you can define, because you can have two data sets. You can have prod data set and dev data set. Yeah. In this case, it will be easy to clean. But yeah, so you will have, instead of lots of tables, like you will have lots of schemas. But you know, one thing we were doing with BigQuery, we call all dev schemas, we are starting from underscore z, and they always, you know, group together, and you can always find them very quickly and delete because they're all starting from underscore z. And this is, yeah, you can, my schema was underscore z underscore dev Dmitry.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, cool stuff.
Because this is what you can show to you, better understand this, show to your team. The idea that explain, yeah, we have dev data set and sub data, and everyone has their own like subset of schemas, but for the production, it will be way easy to navigate.
Yeah, I think it's useful when you have like a big project with like hundreds of models.
Yes, yeah. But this is the kind, I can think about this as the best practice for DBT, even for small project. And I think what's important with DBT, because if you're working with DBT in different companies, you're trying to kind of define one way of doing things. Yeah, because now like I have 2 projects with DBT and I have exactly same configuration. They both on Snowflake, they both like the schema, how I call the schema names, how I organize the folders, CI/CD. I basically copy paste from one project to another.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Okay, let's come back to the next thing. Yeah, the thing that I was showing. I was showing, yeah, the macro that I found that I used a little bit that helps to clean some tables that we don't use automatically, right? So I can delete this one. Oh no. Now let's delete this stuff. I think right now, so we have a clean out macro. So it checks data sets in my schema that are not part of my DBT project anymore, and it drops this table. So it has just to clean a little bit the project. And I think it's built like this, and it checks my dev and volunteers folder right now. But I think it could be also modified to reflect the Dima's approach, to check every other schema. So for example, I have my dev and volunteers data set. I can create here like a table. I use it, empty table, or there could be some other things. Yeah, I have this table here. It's not part of my project, but it's in my dev and volunteers schema. So I can run this macro and it will track all the tables that are not part of the project, and we probably can delete it, right? And it could be also part of CI/CD, so it can be run automatically every time. So I run this macro, I define some arguments. So arguments find the table and views that are not part of the table. Yeah. And we have, yeah, it haven't find for some reason, it haven't find my this table, maybe because I need to run it first. But it found, maybe I need like a base table here. I don't know. But it found like the view. So this view, it doesn't exist in my table and I can drop it. But let's check it. I think maybe this argument is not correct. Yeah. So basically in BigQuery, it's called base table, not table. And it found every model that it's not used. And right now it just finds this model, right, that are not used. And I can delete them if I want. I need to delete it. Yeah, now we should not see this using tables here. I don't use a table and my second DBT model. No, I still see it. Why I'm still seeing it? Mm. Okay. Yeah, something is wrong. This macro. For example, there. Okay, let's try to fix it with, I don't know, with Claude.
Did
You'll be
you
like,
set up MCP for BigQuery?
no. I just set up like CLI BigQuery. So
Yeah, because what you can do with Claude, you can say, hey, Claude, I have BigQuery CLI, and copy paste the error. Can you try to use CLI to query my BigQuery and see what's the error? Basically, it will do the same as MCP, I suppose.
Yeah, it should do like the same. So yeah, but I will do something like this. Can you run the and in Claude you can use how I use plan mode, just to plan first and then to execute. So I think it's recommended stuff to do. So we can press like Shift Tab and change the different modes of your Claude setup. And I will run something like this. Can you run the following macro and fix all the errors? You are connected to BigQuery via Cloud CLI. Here is the right. Let's check. So primary, like, yeah, I use Claude as my main AI tool for working with code, but I also have Codex CLI. Codex is just ChatGPT CLI and Gemini. So when I run out of credits or tokens in Claude, I use Gemini mostly.
And the Claude you got from the work? What's your limitation?
No, I just pay. I pay myself. From
Yeah.
work, I got Gemini. So Gemini is free.
But I'm curious because yesterday I shared the post about Open Router AI, and it has, like the usage of different models, and it telling that for even programming, the Gemini 3 is very popular, more popular. I don't know, never used Gemini for coding, but I also, another interesting thing, I have the Cursor. I paid $20 a month, but I bought the yearly plan for discount. I never had example of out of credits, never, because Cursor has own model that called Composer. I think it's like lightweight Claude model, not like the most recent one, but basically I never had example of out of credits situation, and maybe they will change soon. But because I'm using it a lot for several projects, never had the issue with out of credits.
Yeah, maybe I'll try. I don't know. Yeah, but I don't like code too much so it's yeah, I don't run out of credits too often. So yeah, so maybe it's better. Yeah.
Dmitry, are you using Pro for Cursor?
No, I think they just recently advertised something. You can get 20x of capacity for $200 a month. Like I'm still using my normal one. Yeah, what I plan to do, I plan next week. I plan to create the video both in Russian and English how I use Cursor and like an MCPs, and also how we can use VS Code with Klein or kilocode. So like little examples that I mentioned over time. Just want to create like some guidance if you want to start from scratch to highlight the examples.
What is
But
Klein?
Klein is an extension for VS Code. Before Claude Code was there, or maybe it was already, but not that popular. It was one of the first extension for VS Code that give you like ChatGPT experience the same way. And then you just set up an API key of any provider you want. And then the kilocode, the most recent one, is identical to probably client. I don't know the difference. But yeah, just the plugins that you can use. Yeah, this one. So you can feed it your API key from Cloud Code, and then you have your ChatGPT experience, and it can changing the files, telling how much money you spend. Instead of your terminal experience, you will have like chat experience like you have with OpenAI. Yeah, the same, but more better for developer tasks.
Okay.
But looks like kilocode is better than Klein. I don't know exactly why. Yeah, because I know the Klein, for example, working well, and it's doing similar idea. I don't know how to set up MCPs also for Klein or kilocode, but I think you can do it in settings. But it's just alternative. And kilocode or kilocode.
This one?
No, another one. Type code. I think maybe this one. I don't. Kilocode. 2 words.
Like kilo, it's like C or K.
Yeah. No, key. The kilo is right. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like kilo code. Yeah, I think this.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, maybe this one. Yeah. Okay, it means this one. And kilocode also provides own gateway, so you can like can buy credits for them. And for example, how I use kilocode in one environment, there it's completely blocked for all AI tools. I connected to Open Router as a gateway, and Open Router I added my Claude API key. So basically kilocode sending API calls to Open Router, and Open Router using my Claude Code API key. And this is how it works in the environment there. It blocked everything. But kilocode also has own gateway, and you can kind of like, I think it's you can own marketplace of LLM models. Then you can have the credits, and then they can serve you whatever model you want to use.
Nice. No, it will be cool, yeah, to review it.
Yeah, but I think it's really nice to get MCP going. And one of the last time we had Q&A 2 weeks ago, and then I showed already how I'm using those things. The cursor has the big advantage. It can index your repo. So it means it search faster and spend less tokens if it, indexing everything.
Yeah.
The VS Code, I don't think it can index everything. Maybe
yeah,
you can.
So about this one, like I was also looking, like checking, like what is better, MCP or CLI, right? G-Cloud CLI. And it seems like if you use MCP, it's maybe a little bit better in terms of it understands better things and it's more like natively, but you spend more tokens if you use MCP, something like this.
Yeah, MCP definitely eats tokens.
Yeah.
Oh, can you do one thing in Cursor? I can do it. So if you click maybe click file on top.
What do you mean? File? Like here, file?
Yeah. I want to highlight one thing. I love it. You see add folder to workspace?
Okay.
So what it's doing, imagine the situation. You have DBT projects and you build the models for some stuff that you copy over data warehouse. But you basically, for example, it's transactional systems. And transactional systems was built by backend developers, and they have their own repo where they define the tables, names, the schemas, everything. So, for example, I want to build the model based on my tables in for example, Postgres as a backend database or anything else. And then usually what I need to do, I need to manually copy paste DDL from the Postgres and so on and so on. What it does, I can inside my project, I can add a kind of like logical folder with my another repo. So as soon as I need to use in my repo reference other repos, it doesn't matter for what, like to check the documentations, or for example, I do this many times for migration. I did the migration from one Airflow to another. I did migration from one DBT to another. So I adding workspace the folder for another repo, and then inside this now I can say, hey, this is path to my files on my repo. Can you search in this repo all the information and update my current repo? So this is amazing thing. What Cursor is doing, as soon as you're adding folders into your repo, it starts indexing it as well. So obviously search really well on everything. But here, even just you add all the repos that your repo depends on others for any reason, then you can add here and you can save your VS Code project as workspace. So it's basically, and it knows that your dbt GCP project is a main one because the terminal, then you open terminal, it will ask what repo you want to use. But this is kind of like, I use it now everywhere, then I have dependency with other repos. And it works so good, especially the case when you have source code or migration projects. Now you can really good like talk each other because they in one workspace.
Yeah, sounds cool. We definitely, I think, need your video, how you use a cursor and stuff. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's go next. Yeah, so let's check. I think, yeah, Claude fixed the issues. And let's check if I have these tables or not. Yeah, it seems like it works. So let's check one more time. Okay. And it should drop this table. Yeah, and it dropped this table. Cool. So Claude, yeah, helped us, and we can check what Claude did by using like Claude-C. So it's basically changed some code. Yeah, hyphens. So it changed like how, yeah, the DBT project. So cool, it works. Okay, so let's maybe let's talk about something else. So let's talk maybe about the Recce tool that I used recently. So Recce tool helps to, I think the main purpose is to check the changes.
Sorry, quick question. What is Gemini MD file?
It's like the same as
It's
Claude.
like rules, but it's rules, right? So every time the Gemini running, it has the rules,
Yeah,
right?
so it's the same. So Gemini, you can run Gemini, right? And you can like init, and it will generate this Gemini MD file. So it's basically quite the same. It's the same as Claude Code, yeah. So this has the rules and.
Okay, yeah. I think another thing what Cursor trying to do, I don't know how good it work. You can choose multi-models things, so you can like several models will work on your task to kind of like try. I don't know. Now it's more like they give you the ones I tested, it give you different outputs. So, but I expect that in the future it will multiple models will run like Gemini, Claude Code, like Cortex, they work, and then trying to merge result together to find the best one.
It will be cool, yeah. Yeah, so you can run like different commands at the same time, different agents, but I think you can't right now. Yeah, compare it. So they don't compare it. So you can just manually compare it, right? Something
And
like this.
how's your colleagues like? With all colleagues you work, how they good with using of AI? Like, do they use it a lot?
I think it depends. So because I would say that some colleagues, they don't use it at all, but some colleagues, we have like webinars and we have some cool stuff. So I think some colleagues definitely use it.
Yeah, because what I can see in my projects, very few people using it. I don't have anyone who using so extensive AI as I do. It just, I don't know. People, even developers, they still stuck in the mode like copy paste from ChatGPT.
Yes,
And I offer them the help, like I can show you, they're like, oh, okay, it would be nice, but they don't really care that much.
Yeah, so this is a big thing, and it really helps.
Yeah.
Yes, but
But
like,
if you know what to do, and what I wrote yesterday, you need to understand like what you're gonna ask, because if you don't know the basics of DBT, like you won't understand what it will do. It will create the models, or how it calls the models, or schemas, like it will mess. But if you know how DBT works and you say, I want to create the model, and you have the rules defined, like how you create the model and names and SQL linting stuff, so it will create exactly as you need. And I think right now we should use AI in the way we should really target it, define the task. And another thing what really helping to me, for example, I mentioned about use case for Stripe. I create a bunch of models and calculations. It's very complicated subscriptions. I ask for every change I do, I ask to document. So I have one huge markdown file that creating by AI, but because I still getting questions from manager how this works or this works, can we do this and that? Because all the work for this project is documented by AI. So every time I open the chat, I say, hey, this is my project definitions, like the models. Can you do this and this? Or can you answer me those questions? Can you pull examples using MCP, like for customer IDs, if they're not in the bucket list or something like this? Yeah, to creating markdown documentations as a, I don't know, checkpoints is really helpful.
Yeah, I think it helps to save, yes, so to save the context of your work, right?
Yes.
So to feed it to other models and to feed it like in general.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, it's one of the things that I like, yeah, if I need to create documentation, sometimes I spend some time to repeating things once again that I already like put in the model in another model, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better maybe to have some library of your context and something like this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can go next for your topic.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I think, yeah, it's cool stuff. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to talk about like Recce tool, right? Data diff tool that we can use to, yeah, that helps us maybe, and not only us, but maybe it will be even possible to automate it, right? So Recce is just a data diff tool. There is like an open source version, and there is like paid version, right? So it helps to review, like for the PR review, it's really useful, and in general to check it, right? Yeah, open source. Yeah, let's test it. Let's test it. So the only thing that we need is we need to install it and to, yeah, and to compare. So we need the production artifacts, right? So let's check it.
Yeah, I think one of DBT thing is quite complicated, but very helpful, is to get the production artifacts, especially if you have big team of developers. Because even if you want to run differ is very good command. You need production artifacts. So you need somehow find the way how you can generate. So what is artifacts is basically a list of all your models and their reference, like database name, schema name, table name, descriptions of each column. So all documentations about all your models inside your data warehouse. And this is very helpful to have. And for many things, it might be helpful even when you do the dev work. But the question, how you can always have the fresh copy of your manifest inside your local branch.
Yeah, so let's once again, So when we run dbt commands in our dbt project, right? So dbt runs this command, creates models, tests these models, right? And it tracks everything in target folder, and it tracks it in the files that called like artifacts. So artifacts is basically like, I don't know, logs or like just information about the last dbt run and dbt test, so we can see it here in such way. So it tracks the last dbt invocation, and when we run it by default and when we test it, I run it via my like dev environment, right, in development environment, right, and all the information about my last runs are saved in these artifacts. And then there are a lot of tools and things that are built to compare production artifacts and developer artifacts, right? So production artifacts, they are generated when we are run our commands against production environment, right? I can do it like this. So if I put like just dbt run, by default it will run against my dev environment. But I can put like a flag target prod, and it will run against my production environment, and it will save everything to the same target, so it will be like replace it. But actually, in a lot of cases, we need to save it to some other folder, because if we will have like developer target with like developer run that we did, and production like target folder with production run, there are a lot of tools that compare these things, and it helps us to in our development, right? So maybe Dima, can you mention how you automatically save production artifacts?
Yeah, I can. Usually, what I have the make file, and the make file I can run the kind like dbt compile or dbt docs target prod. So it will generate the production target in target folder, and then the next command, because you need to copy this your production manifest from the target. You see the target folder on the left?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, by default, dbt, every time you run the models, all your dev documentations is here, all your models, all the artifacts. But if I will run with target prod,
it will rewrite it. It will rewrite
and maybe it's worth to show dbt profile to show what's the def and prod, like just to,
you run your prod. So when you say you run prod with prod profile, does it mean it runs this dbt run, for example, for prod profile, but then you don't run it manually? It runs in some orchestrator or on GitHub?
No, it's running from your, so if you have permission, so can you open the profile, Nikita, for your, so you see you have prod and dev, and you have credentials. The thing is, if you have the prod profile here and you have your credentials for the prod, it means from your terminal I can reload the full prod. That is very dangerous if we're gonna give this to the people, right? That's why usually and it's fine for like powerful developer to have this, because you can just generate the manifest without running the models. But imagine if you have junior developers and they have the prod, and they can screw up your prod easily. That's why usually what's happening, people don't have the prod profile in their local setup at all. And then you set up this in CI process. So every time you merge, the process running in GitHub Actions, for example, that generates your manifest file, and then, for example, it can upload to S3 bucket, Google Storage, or one example we have dedicated branch, for example, something dbt manifest branch name, and then you merge, you can generate this. It's just a JSON file. You need to have dedicated location where you store this JSON file with all your prod definitions after every merge. and you should have access to it. So somehow save it into your environment. That's why first you need to define where do you want to run it automatically. Ideally, after every merge, you want to generate this manifest file and store somewhere. And then you need, for every time then you start work with your local ID, you need to have, for example, make command that will download this file. Or what I did for myself, at least, I have the make command that generate manifest with prod profile, like in this example we have, and then putting it into another folder. So I need to move it from the target folder to another folder. That's why I usually can create the folder, like, for example, profiles or something like this. I don't know, artifacts. Yeah, it calls like prod underscore artifacts or target base, doesn't matter. So you have another folder. And then if I want to run Defer, for example, I can specify where is my production manifest living, because you for diff, for example, data diff commands or like defer commands, you need to pass one argument your production manifest. That's why first you need to decide how to generate it with production credentials. Second, where to store it, and then because you need the path to this. So that's the thing.
Okay.
And
so then you store it so you can compare dev and prod, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you have both of them, then you can. All the tools that helping DBT do any kind of works, lineage, whatever, even data catalogs, they all depends on this JSON file. Even DBT docs itself, it's basically implementation of this thing with the nice UI based on your manifest JSON and catalog JSON files.
Okay. Yeah, that's all clear. Yeah, basically you just need to persist it in order to.
Yes, you need to find the way. Just approach, and there are, I just highlight a couple of approaches, like storing in S3 or storing in Git branch, but you always need to make sure every time you start to work, you have the fresh copy of the production inside your, or maybe, maybe it should somehow then you merge, you can have to run the process that will update your main branch. But it's a bit challenging because basically your process need to commit into your main branch, out to approve it, to merge, but there are different ways how to do it. The simplest way, probably just use S3 buckets or like Google storage accounts. Then you can always save to one command, like CLI command, it will generate the file and save into Google storage.
Actually, it has GitHub has API. I used to save CSV files when download reports, but that's bad practice. Is it all kind of manifest related, like when you compare prod and dev? I heard a lot that in order to not to save cost and not to run all the models, you just compare it and only run when you release, when you build, only the difference between.
Yeah, this is the defer command doing.
Okay.
For example, if I want to, if I did the change into my gold table, and it depends on like dozen of silver, bronze tables, usually what happens, people rebuild everything. Like you run your gold model with plus sign, basically build all in there. It's expensive. Imagine you have 30 developers, 3 terabytes of data warehouse, and everyone running every day copy of like 3 terabytes of data. Defer command will only focus on the model you change, and all upstream models, if they not exist in dev, based on manifest, it will find their alternative in the production. And you see the state path to artifacts. It's looking where you save your production manifest.
Yeah. So we need, we need prod artifacts to defer and to reference production models.
There is a very good article by Alec. Maybe you can Google it, DBT artifacts.
Yes. Yeah, I read it. DBT tips, DBT artifacts.
Like Slim CI or something you guys talk?
Yeah, this one. So he wrote about he writes a lot about DBT, but this is very good because it's telling what's DBT artifacts. There are many of them, but we mostly need only one of them.
Manifest, I think, and maybe some others.
Thank you.
Yeah, so and as we're talking about defer, I think we can also mention about dbt clone command, right? So once again, defer we need, yeah, of course, if we have and we load it the prod artifacts, we don't need to build to like okay, and we made this changes to model C. We don't need to rebuild like everything upstream. We don't need to repeat model A in development and model B. We can just reference the artifacts, the prod artifacts, and it will understand it. It will use like this data and it will check and build the model C without upstream models in the artifacts. But another cool feature is dbt clone. So dbt clone actually creates the models in development environment if we have them in production environment without like big like cost. So dbt clone command uses, I think, zero copy cloning function or feature of modern warehouses like I think Snowflake, Databricks, and BigQuery has it. So actually, we also need artifacts, prod artifacts, and when we run dbt clone artifacts and states, it's so this command like copies or like cloning the prod tables and like creates these clones in dev environment, in development environment. And I think the main benefit that dbt clone creates it, and dbt like when we zero copy cloning, it doesn't take a lot of like compute, doesn't take any compute to clone this. This is why.
But it's important that data warehouse supports. One important thing about dbt, it doesn't have any O1 functionality. It's 100% rely on what database can do. Because yeah, if database doesn't support cloning, obviously you're not able to clone it. So it's not magic by dbt. dbt have.
No, actually, I think I read that it's if it doesn't support it, it just creates views instead of clones.
Oh, I didn't know about this. So if you
Yeah,
have Postgres, right, it will create the views.
Yeah, as I checked it in somewhere here, I don't know. Yeah, I can post it. I found it somewhere.
Okay.
That it's in all databases, it just creates views instead of clones. Yes.
Does it actually create then? So we talked previously about how the developer, when the developer works, we create developer schema. So this clone actually copies with developer underscore names. Maybe
I think yeah, maybe I think it creates. It creates in the same yeah. So you have like a developer data set, right? When you are working and changing, and you have a production data set. So basically, it takes data from production data set and clones it to your developer data set.
Okay.
So you will see the data in your developer schema, and you will see the tables.
Okay, so it does copies to my developer specific schema. Okay.
Yes. So this is a benefit. So which is cool. You don't need to spend your compute on building actually these models. If you don't have it, you can just clone it and you'll get it for free, right?
So can I clarify? So it does, so the downstream tables, you don't need to build them, but then when you do run your developer commands, then you have to selectively run the models, right? In order not to rebuild everything.
Like let's discuss like an example.
So for example, if you working only with silver schemas, you have changed or like old schemas, so then you don't need to so you're cloning your bronze and silver schemas, so you don't need to build them, so only gold changes. But then when you dbt run, you only selectively run the models, because if you said dbt run, it will build everything from the ground up.
Yes. So I think it depends what you want. So okay, if you run dbt run in your development, you can run for the whole development environment, right? But it will take like compute to execute every model. And if you have like huge project, it will like can cost something, right? You can specify like in dbt, you can specify like a model that you can run. So you can run just one model, or you can specify like all the downstreams of this model. So for example, you created you have like marts model, like a golden layer, and you have this table here, right? And we can see that it depends on these models, right? So and you made some changes here. So in order to check the changes, actually you can run dbt run select and your customer LTV, right? This command will run only this model without any other models. But if your upstream tables are not built yet, you can add like a plus sign. So it will run everything like starting from these tables first, including this. So it will run the whole dependency graph. But it will take compute to build it, right? So if you want to avoid it, I believe you can just run select something like, and you can run defer, and you can pass to your production targets, and it will just reference production upstream models.
And then how clone helps in this case?
Like I think instead you can just, so defer doesn't create anything upstream, but clone you can run, I think, dbt clone, and you need to also specify like path to target yeah, where is it? Yeah, okay, for example, this is a prod artifacts, so it will run and it will create everything in it will create actual tables, I think. Yeah, no, I think it will create. I'm thinking about how to create like just this one. Maybe we can, if I select this customer LTV, I don't know. I'm not sure if we do like this, will it clone it or not? So
but I get the idea. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so it will. Yeah, so the difference is that clone creates actual tables without any cost for you. Defer doesn't create anything, but if you don't need, you can just defer just reference prod tables. Yeah.
Okay. So even in dev, you wanna like, it's not like you slash in this dbt commands and then it rebuilds every time. You still need to be careful how you build in it because you want to avoid like increased cost even in dev, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe not only cost, but if you're working on a big project and you run just dbt run, right? It can take like, I don't know, 1 hour to like update everything.
Makes sense.
And it's not, and it takes some money and time. So
okay, good.
Easily tested. Okay. Yeah, and for one of the tools, there are a lot of tools, paid tools that are built based on the comparison of this production and developer targets and artifacts. One of the tools is Recce that just compares it and creates it in a beautiful UI. So I think I already installed it, so I can just run Recce server. Yeah. And here, so it takes, as we saw, I saved my imaginary, like I haven't generated yet, but I just copied my dev targets and said, let's it be like prod. So it compares the same data, so it won't see any changes here. But let's make actual changes and compare. Okay, and compare the differences. Okay, so for example, let's run first dbt run target prod. So let's delete, we don't need it. So it will run and save everything in target. While we're waiting, we can, yeah, so we don't have it here. Yeah, we need two files, catalog and manifest. dbt run generates manifest file. And I think dbt docs generate command generates catalog. Okay. Okay, dbt. Yeah, catalog saved, manifest saved. So now I will just copy it and run and save it as a target base. So, and we can assume, okay, this is our prod artifacts. And now let's make some changes to our models. I don't know. Let's delete this model. We don't need it. Yeah, thanks, Tsebek. And yeah, I'll put some filter maybe here. Orders. Do we have product type? I don't know. Okay. Let's put some filter customer name. I don't know. Let's just filter it where customer ID is like a customer name. Starts with A. Let's yeah, put this will create a command filter, adds filter that customer name should start with A, and maybe we can create something like new model, and this will be like B. Okay. And let's build it once again, but with like let's run dbt run, and it will save everything in our target folder, and we will have changes that we just implemented in target folder, and we have initial targets here, and Recce will compare it, and we'll see the results. Okay, and now dbt docs generate. Okay, and now, no, so now we have everything that we need, and now we can run dbt Recce tool. Yeah, and now we can see the changes. Now we see the changes here. So the red one is a removed table that I removed. The B is just new table that is created, and this is just modified table. And we can check different differences between. We can row count difference. So let's calculate the difference in row count. Yeah, so actually nothing has changed in terms of data. So our filter hasn't filtered anything because we have 75 rows and we had 75 rows.
Can we see the difference without UI, like a terminal somehow?
I think so. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Let's check.
What is nice use case might be is like some kind of pre-commit. Then so you did the change to the model, and then your dev model can be compared with the prod model while you're running pre-commit, and highlighting is it any difference or so.
I don't know. Yeah, about this one. Yeah, can we just yeah. Seems like it's based mostly on UI, but let's check. Let's ask, I don't know, ChatGPT. I think we can automatically paste. So it's used for comparison. So I think it's not used for. So why? Yeah, like so. The question is, why do you want it to have it in pre-commit, right? So it's used for comparison. Okay, I made some changes. I made some meaningful changes that I want to implement, and I like created a PR and I pushed this. These changes to the repo, and I created a PR. And you, like as a team lead, for example, you can go to Recce and you see in the UI what are the differences, what I made, and then okay, I see what you did, and everything is okay. So let's measure. Why do you need it like in pre-commit?
But do you for example, assuming you don't have customers B, customers new, you just have customers that you change the logic that's different from the prod, will it compare?
Yes, it will compare.
Yeah, I think why I just want this, I want to remove like human in the loop. So I want that it automatically checks what was changed. I think what's maybe important, for example, you have downstream tables, like for example, I don't int orders or sales by something, and my local change in the model might break actual some metrics in other tables, downstream tables.
Yes, and if you and for this one you use tests, you don't use Recce. I think Recce is for you. So if everything breaks, you will get an error because of the tests will breaks, and you need to implement tests. But Recce, it's more like for you to see what's the difference and how it impacted if everything was successful in terms of tests, right? So for example, right now I implemented new filter, I ran it, and everything was okay. All tests passed, so nothing has broke down, and all models were like built, right? And yeah, I create PR, and then you log in and you check how it impacted, or I can also how it impacted in terms of like data, number of rows, and what like you can write a query, and it can compare the differences of model.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. So I think it's more like a tool that help you to check. Yeah, I see. Customers. And you can create like a checklist, like a schema diff, what in schema checked, and row count diff. So because it helps, because okay, I made some changes, they haven't break anything, and how, in terms of business logic, how are you gonna to check it?
That's a good question, because I used to have example for financial reporting. It was very important that historical data not changed, but technically you reload all the data warehouse, right? And for example, for the month of October, you have some kind list of customer IDs and their numbers, financial numbers. Then you go and do changes in the logic of the model.
Yes.
You rebuild the models, and it was extremely important that customers in October, their dollar value amount never changed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big pain, because if you're rebuilding everything, and how you can compare it. So the idea was, what would be nice to have some kind of data div that you do the changes, and then trying to compare customer by customer with their amount.
I think here it's possible. Like, let's do something. Let's check. I think, yeah, let's just change the logic.
Because I want to compare a dev table with the prod table.
Yeah.
Not similar models.
Yes, and this tool allows you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do once again dbt run. Yeah. So first of all, yeah, it takes prod artifacts and def and compares it. And yeah, and this one shows what's different. And I think we can run query STG customers. So we can run query STG customers, and we can run it in the way that it will run and show the differences.
Can we run some kind of queries to kind of join prod to test based on some primary keys and compare the actual values? Or that's not the goal here?
For example, for what? Like values?
For example, just to make sure that my change, I'm not sure if it's unit test, but if but specifically to prod, basically if I'm migrating something, and then to see if my migration didn't break the final table result. So for example, I have like 3 tables, but then I combine them into 2 tables, effectively migrated the code, it may be into one. For example, it was 2 store procedures became one, it only materialized 1 table, but then the table that, like upstream table, doesn't have any effect on this. So for example, all my metrics, count of clients, sums and everything, basically does data diff. If my migration didn't actually break any results, because sometimes when we know that the table data is correct, but we want to do some kind of optimization, just want to make sure that the final results didn't actually change. So in that case, is comparing actual data would be useful. I'm wondering if this tool can do.
If it has the same,
like comparing name by customer ID. Like for example, customer ID, maybe average accounts receivable, for example. Wondering if it can compare prod to dev.
So it compares, but I think it shows only like the difference.
Okay, makes sense. So it means if it doesn't show the difference, nothing has changed. So it works as well.
Yeah, schema diff. Yes, nothing has changed. Yes, it only changed the difference. So yeah, it's more like to help you. Yeah.
But it's still helpful. If there's no difference, it means all good.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Cool tool. Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you for participation. Yeah, and thanks, Dmitry, for a lot of cool stuff that you share. Yeah, waiting for a video on Cursor and all other. Yeah, it was.
For this one record, you can share with me.
Okay, sounds good.
And maybe you can share the also what I always problem was for me to create the how it goes like обложка on YouTube.
What?
Cover for YouTube video. Yeah,
okay.
with your picture and the name. You can even generate this like Gemini, whatever. Just send me the video with this and description for the video, and I will upload everything.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. I don't know. Yeah, because we talked a lot and we had a lot of, I don't know, side topics. So I don't know how it will be used.
It doesn't matter because, for example, Ivan from Mexico, he was curious about this, and sometimes it happens.
Okay. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
There's more questions. Hopefully, we can discuss it later as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You can ask in chat and we can discuss it there.
Sounds good.
Right.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Nikita.
Thanks, Sergey.
Bye.
Bye.